Hey there, deep divers. Ready to ponder some seriously big questions about pleasure and sacrifice and what it all means? Today, we're diving deep into a single, densely packed excerpt titled Pleasure, Sacrifice, and Love, a metaphilosophical perspective.
We're going to unpack that, don't worry.
Yeah, we'll unpack all of that together. But what we're really exploring here is this idea that maybe, just maybe, the things we have to work for, even struggle for, bring a deeper kind of satisfaction than just getting everything we want instantly.
Yeah, like right away, just poof, there it is.
Right. Imagine a world where any desire you had was instantly fulfilled. $1,000,000, boom, done. Perfect slice of pizza.
Instantly.
On the surface, sounds pretty amazing. Who wouldn't want that, right?
Yeah.
But the source makes a really interesting argument against this pleasure overload scenario.
It's like, think about when you were a kid, candy, the ultimate treat.
Oh, yeah.
But imagine if you could have endless candy. Anytime, any place. Would it still feel as special? The source argues that constantly getting what we want actually diminishes the value of those experiences. Our brains, they get more fired up by the anticipation and the effort of earning rewards.
So it's like the pursuit is part of the pleasure.
Yes, exactly.
That reminds me actually of a story about this friend of mine who hiked the Pacific Crest Trail.
Wow.
It was brutal, blisters, bad weather, you name it. But she said reaching the end, the most exhilarating feeling because of everything she had to overcome to get there.
Exactly. The source even uses, I love this the example of a teleportation.
Okay.
Imagine if you could just disappear and reappear anywhere instantly.
Poof.
Right. Never be stuck in traffic.
Never miss a flight again.
But on the other hand, the joy of finally arriving somewhere after a long journey
It's gone.
disappears too.
It's like our brains are wired to find more meaning,
Yeah.
satisfaction in those hard-won victories.
Yeah.
So if we connect this back to metaphilosophy, it's about questioning our assumptions about what a fulfilling life actually is, right?
Yes. It's about digging deeper than just these surface-level pleasures and asking ourselves, what is it about struggle and sacrifice that actually makes those pleasurable moments even sweeter?
And here's where this deep dive takes a really interesting turn.
Okay.
The source doesn't just stop at saying struggle is necessary for pleasure.
Right.
It connects it to something even bigger,
Right.
like love.
Love, yeah.
There's this bold statement that really jumped out at me when I was reading this. Struggle for sacrifice
Whoa.
will give quality to pleasure, which can lead to awareness of love as the highest degree of pleasure.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
I know, right?
Okay, so let's break that down.
Yeah.
What is it saying?
Yeah, what are they getting at here?
The source seems to be saying that when we're willing to work for something,
Okay.
to sacrifice for it, the pleasure we feel isn't just about getting that thing.
Right.
It's also about recognizing the love behind that sacrifice.
Okay.
Whether it's our own love for the goal
Right.
or someone else's love that made it possible.
So it's like if someone hands you a bouquet of flowers, it's nice, right?
Yeah.
But if someone hiked up a mountain to pick those flowers for you,
Oh, yeah.
that act of sacrifice makes it way more meaningful.
Way more.
And the source even takes it a step further, comparing it to divine love,
Okay.
which I thought was really interesting.
Interesting, yeah.
The source suggests that the challenges and struggles we face in life aren't because,
Yeah.
some higher power is being mean
Right.
or enjoys watching us suffer.
Right.
It's presented as this idea that we can only truly appreciate love and joy
Yeah.
when we've overcome obstacles to get there.
Right. It's like you can't have the reward without the
journey.
the work.
Yeah.
The struggle.
So our struggles are like gifts. That's kind of a radical thought, right?
It is a radical thought.
But I can see how, going through tough times can make you appreciate the good times even more.
For sure.
Now, hold on. Does that mean that every time we sacrifice something, it's automatically a good thing?
That's a good question.
The source seems to suggest some sacrifices are higher than others.
Yeah, that's a really important point.
Okay.
The source doesn't advocate for just any kind of sacrifice.
Right.
It's not about mindless suffering.
Right.
It's about making conscious choices to let go of things that might be holding us back
Okay.
from experiencing deeper levels of love and fulfillment.
So how do we know which sacrifices are the right ones?
Yeah.
Is there a hierarchy of sacrifice we should be following?
That's interesting.
So finding balance might require us to let go of some things,
Yeah.
but the source seems to be saying that by making those tough choices, we're
Yeah.
actually creating space for these deeper, more meaningful experiences to come in.
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah.
And, one of the biggest things the source says we need to let go of to optimize our potential
Okay.
is our own ego.
Oh, okay.
That feeling of always needing to be right
Right.
or being better than others, it can really hold us back
Yeah.
from connecting with others
Yeah.
and experiencing true love.
It's funny, I've always thought of humility as being,
Sure.
a good quality, but this makes it sound like it's not just about being polite.
Right.
It's actually crucial
It's crucial, yeah.
for personal growth.
Exactly.
Okay.
But letting go of our arrogance,
Okay.
we create space for other qualities to flourish, like compassion,
Okay.
empathy,
Uh-huh.
a willingness to learn from others.
Yeah.
And the source connects this directly to love, saying once balance is achieved, then that is the state of pleasure. It's like when we're constantly comparing ourselves to others
Right.
or
Yeah.
striving for some external measure of success, it's hard to experience true contentment
Right.
and connection.
It reminds me of that saying, comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes, there you go.
Maybe true joy comes from accepting ourselves and others, flaws and all, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, you might be wondering,
Okay.
where does worship fit into all of this?
Yeah, where does that come in?
It might seem like a bit of a leap,
Okay.
but the source brings up this idea of worship
Okay.
as the ultimate act of sacrifice.
Worship. Okay, so we're going full on philosophy here. I like it.
We're going deep.
What does the source even mean by worship exactly?
It's not necessarily about religion,
Okay.
at least not in the traditional sense.
Oh.
The source seems to be talking about any act that requires us to completely surrender our ego
Okay.
and acknowledge something larger than ourselves.
So that could be anything from like prayer and meditation
Yeah.
to like losing yourself in nature or music or art.
Yes.
Basically anything that helps quiet that inner voice.
Yes.
That's always saying me, me, me.
You got it. You got it.
Okay, so it's about quieting the ego.
Yes.
Right.
And here's a really interesting part. The source says that a higher power,
Okay.
or God, as it uses an example,
Mm.
doesn't actually need our worship.
Right.
It's not about feeding some cosmic ego.
Right.
It's for our benefit.
So why bother then? What's the point of, engaging in these acts of worship if it's not about like appeasing some higher being?
The source suggests that by surrendering our ego, whether it's through prayer, meditation,
Right.
or just appreciating something bigger than ourselves,
Yeah.
we open ourselves up to a deeper, more fulfilling kind of love and connection.
So it's like by letting go of our own self-importance,
Yes.
we create space to experience something more profound.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay.
And that brings us to the ultimate question.
Okay.
What does all of this mean for how we live our lives?
Right, right.
The source even touches on the concepts of heaven and hell
Whoa.
to illustrate this point.
Okay, now we're getting really
So
existential.
go in there.
What does the source say about the afterlife?
Well, it describes heaven as a state of pure bliss,
Okay.
where all our desires are met.
Okay.
But then it raises this really interesting question. If heaven is all about endless pleasure,
Mm-hmm.
with no struggle or sacrifice,
Mm-hmm.
does that pleasure even have any meaning?
Mm.
Is it possible that a life of pure bliss
Yeah.
could actually become
Could actually become, what, boring?
boring?
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you're saying that maybe, just maybe, the struggles and challenges we face here on Earth
Yeah.
are actually preparing us to experience true joy in the afterlife.
It's an intriguing idea, isn't it?
It is.
The source seems to be suggesting that our time here,
Yeah.
with all its ups and downs,
Right?
is like a training ground for our capacity to experience love and joy in their fullest forms.
Wow, this deep dive has really given me a lot to think about.
A lot to unpack.
So much for pleasure always being easy and effortless, right? It sounds like embracing struggle and sacrifice,
Yeah.
finding balance in our lives,
Yeah.
and cultivating a sense of humility
Humility.
and awe might actually be the keys to unlocking deeper levels of happiness and love, both in this life and maybe even beyond.
Isn't that a fascinating thought to leave you with?
It really is.